Yes.
So connect that back to this.
Yeah. So he did not touch me in this instance, but that same rage of do not touch me, do not, what you are putting on me in this moment is not what I'm willing to accept. I had that same body sensation, the hot flash, the buzzing energy, the withdrawal energy-wise, and the constriction. So same feelings and same body sensations.
Okay. Is it fair to say that sort of thematically, in both of the situations you describe, there is a deep and profound disconnect between what you were expecting someone to give you and what you got?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Wow.
Okay. You can just adopt those, I don't mind.
Yes. There was this, when you go to your partner and I had just come back from the beach and I was badly sunburned and he made a joke and, hand movement of like, oh, I'm gonna slap your sunburn. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. And I went, no, absolutely not. That is not okay. And he continued to tease about it. And so I went to storm away because I was upset and needed space in the moment. And his reaction was this, it's fine that you're upset. You're gonna forgive me. So there's this disconnect between I am feeling this way in this situation and it doesn't feel good. And yet it's like their reaction is coming out of left field of like, how did you arrive at this when I'm over here with that? So with my manager, it was the same of like, I'm over here solving problems. I am reaching out to my client a month in advance to get her to reschedule rather than the day of, which is what we normally do. So I'm over here, I'm doing what I feel like is a really good thing. I'm being proactive. I'm being, I'm trying to work within the new construct that Salon has given me. And instead, I get this, my need for physical touch is used against me, which was unconscious on her part. I don't think that was an intentional, but also, don't feel the way you're feeling. Your reaction, we're not even gonna look at that.
Doesn't
Not valid
register.
here. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. In this episode, your fear of being ignored, specifically of what you say and what you need, not registering in meaningful ways with the people around you, your fear of being controlled and manipulated, and your fear of being a bad guy, which is to say, your fear of actually existing, having feelings and needs that register as real outside of you.
Yeah.
Your loss of power and control, specifically with respect to bodily autonomy. Your manager's touch on your arm felt violative and patronizing and like it ran over you. And it was also a loss of safety and security in that your manager is the last person in the salon that you feel comfortable talking to about anything, and so you don't have that anymore. Your image of being a good listener, calm and reasonable and very self-aware was undermined.
Go on.
When you were exposed as being the reactive person that you are.
Yes. Human.
However, you are in an interstitial kind of liminal space where you weren't actually exposed as being too nice because you actually got angry and you let yourself feel it, and you didn't let your shame damp that down.
Yeah.
So great. Thank you. You're welcome. What you needed was for your manager to reflect back support and understanding for you, and also for what you were doing for the client and the salon, and at least not be patronizing, and to not touch you, especially in that patronizing, dismissive kind of way.
Yeah.
And the other situation that you described with your ex and his assertion that your anger didn't matter because you would ultimately just forgive him as a matter of course, because of course you would, because you always had done. It resonated with the situation because, like your ex, your manager, there's a disconnect between what you reasonably ought to have been able to expect from her in terms of understanding, and what she offered, and same with the ex. And there was I don't know if you talked about this specifically today, but maybe there was a layer of shock or disbelief at the unreasonable response to your reasonably angry reaction.
Yes.
Did I get all that?
It was beautiful.
Yes. Okay. Let's talk about your pattern.
Woohoo! Okay, so I wrote down a couple of different ones. Yes. So I must make myself small to be acceptable. My feelings aren't as important as others. Others will use my feelings against me, so don't have unacceptable emotions. Just don't do that.
Just don't.
You are not okay as you are, and there is no acceptable way to show up.
Is that the one we decided as being?
That's the
The one.
one.
It has a little star by it in my notes.
There is no acceptable way to show up.
Okay. So I'm going to recap.
Okay.
You went to your manager asking for some information, and you got the information that you needed, but then told her why you were seeking it, and some frustration around the situation leaked out, and instead of validating your frustration, she was patronizing and told you shouldn't feel frustrated, and said something about the salon not promising to do the thing that you were relying upon happening to solve this problem
10 months ago.
10 months ago.
2 months ago.
And you felt the things you felt, hot and flushed and constricted and expanded and buzzing, and rage-filled and hurt and disgusted and ignored and misunderstood and gaslit.
All the things.
You were afraid of being ignored and controlled, and you felt that you were losing power and control, especially over your body, given how she touched you. You lost your sense of safety and security in terms of having somebody in the salon that you could talk to about things that were going on. You were exposed as somebody who could not be a good listener and could not actually care reasonably for the people around you, but instead were reactive. You needed her to be supportive and understanding, and you got patronizing and condescending instead. You needed her not to put her hands on you in not great ways, and she did that. This harkened back to a situation with your ex where there was a similar kind of disconnect between what you were, what you expected, thought you could expect as a person in relationship with another human being, and you were shocked that you couldn't your expectations around that were defeated in that moment. And you've got unreasonableness and dismissiveness instead of validation of your anger, of your reasonable anger. And the pattern that came up was there is no acceptable way to show up. Okay.
Yeah. Ask me the questions.
Is it true, my friend?
Just spent an entire worksheet justifying it, so yes, it is true. There's no acceptable way for me to show up. Because even when I think I'm in the right, I'm not, according to the people around me.
Is it always actually really true?
No. It's not always true.
Where's the space?
Well, I felt my anger. I was, my therapist describes it as Phoenix from X-Men. You are flame embodied. I was rage embodied.
The baby from Incredibles?
Yes! And I did not take it out on anybody. I did not hurt anybody. I did not, even the words that I spoke in my anger were not harmful as they were spoken or how they were spoken. So I showed up in a way that felt much more aligned rather than giving into my too niceness. And I survived it. I still have a job. Yes. But another one is sitting across from you and revisiting both this episode and the stories with my ex, and getting to watch your reaction and have that be more information that says, no, Laura, how you felt and what you experienced in that is valid.
What is your life like when you believe that there is no acceptable way to show up?
Oh, I just want to hide in my house. Because it's exhausting to people please all the time. And I pretzel myself. And I make myself so small. And nobody actually gets to know me because I'm unacceptable. So I'm not going to show you the pieces of me that are going to allow you to be justified in rejecting me. So you get this pretty package of the okay, the PG, the G version of Laura. Certainly no F-bombs.
How would your life be different if you didn't believe that pattern?
If it wasn't even possible to have the thought that there's no acceptable way to show up. I would be so much more relaxed around people. I would not apologize for existing, for showing up. I would delight in myself. Because this human being right here is, you know, she's pretty cool.
She's pretty incredible.
She's pretty cool. And I would just have this, like, just this joy for life, for myself and for the other people around me.
That sounds pretty amazing. You want to flip it?
Yeah. Okay, so there is no acceptable way to show up becomes there is no unacceptable way to show up.
It's absolutely true. There is no unacceptable way to show up. All there is it's acceptable in the place that holds all of the things. No such thing as unacceptable. You are acceptable. Everything in you and that you are and that you do is acceptable in the bigger picture, in the way that God sees all the things. It's all lovely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So,
Amen. Oh,
yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what sleeves and long shirts are
there's
for.
a box of tissues right over here, as a matter of fact, I see some tissues right here. Does anybody have any questions?
Do you want to add something? Sorry, we're getting back at one point.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. No, Laura's gonna need a minute to collect herself before she can leave her next session. And I'm not sure, I gotta go find where everybody else is. I know we've lost a few people, but not a bunch. I think, so Heather's in the midst of what she's already started right now, her Lexio, and you're gonna do the chakra business. And then maybe what we'll do after you're done with that is kind of just all reconvene for chants and drum circle and wrap it up, I think might be where we go.
Excellent.
Instead of just dragging it out according to the schedule, so we'll see what everybody else is up to. And, thank you for that. That was lovely. Well, does anybody want to do a worksheet? I'm just getting the sense that, I know that it's possible that you're gonna do a worksheet, but Susan's got you. That's what she said, yeah. So Susan's gonna be her listener. And everybody else here is already a listener and knows the drill, so I just don't see anybody doing a worksheet unless Joe's having some afflictive emotions right now.
I gotta tell you.
Oh, wait, I think I'm
Make
still
yourself
filming.
comfortable.
Got a lot of issues with you people. Okay, all right. Follow Laura if you're gonna go do the chakra thing.
Who is that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's Festivus from Seinfeld, yeah.
Yes.